You might have noticed in past videos that the headlight bezels on my Vega model don't really match the real thing. You can see that the tops of the bezels are flattened. So here I'm going to flatten them realistically. And a bit of remodeling here. To save time, I'm going to do the left side, then copy and mirror it to install it on the other side. But reshaping them was a little bit tricky because I didn't have mechanical drawings, like proper blueprints. So it was kind of eye it, look at the photo, and then eye it again. And this took much longer than you can see here on the video, although it was not too much of a chore to do. I just wish I had the real drawings. As with so many other things, that's the disadvantage of modeling a rare car. Unless you have a real one, drawings can be very, very hard to find. So still that doesn't look quite right, so I'm fiddling with it a little more here. And this will never be perfect, but it will look a little bit better if I can flatten the tops of those bezels. Notice I'm being careful not to rescale the light, because the light is perfectly round. It appears to be an off-the-shelf unit. And to make it scale smoothly, I also added some extra polys there, as you can see. Here, I'm going to do the other side. In theory, the modern versions of Blender can tolerate curved surfaces, but I've found that that creates all kinds of complications. So I'm adding some more polys here, even if in theory that's not perfect modeling. I don't know if there's such a thing as perfect modeling. That looks a little bit sloppy there, so I'm going to straighten it out a bit. For one thing, that top surface should be larger. Again, if you look back at the photos, it doesn't have too much of a curve into it, even though it's still curved. Keeping it lined up is important because, as I've said before, an orthographic view can give you a lot of optical illusions. A little bit closer there, inching right along. Take another look at it, and it's still not great. So I compensate by moving the bottom of the unit up a little bit. But as a whole, it now has to be copied or duplicated. Shift D in Blender. Then I mirror it. Luckily in Blender you don't have to worry about your copies or not, because it always copies. It doesn't just create a library entry as in 3D Studio Max. So it's flipped over. Now I got to remove the old bezel here and the old headlight. You'll notice, of course, that I'm skipping through a lot of the multiple selections to save time. So we delete the vertices, or the faces rather, because we want to keep the edges. And then we get rid of those old vertices actually by merging them with the vertices of the new unit. So inch it, rather millimeter it into place here. And then Once I have a reasonably good match, I then go to each pair of vertices, select them both, although I also have to line them up a little bit here. They're still not perfect. Model is not as symmetrical as I'd like. And then I use the merge at center over there on the left. And there it is. It's merged. Then I go to another one. Find it's also somewhat out of alignment. So I realign here. Editing the new unit, incidentally, not the original model. And then I'm going to skip ahead after this to the last one. And to save time, and there it is. But notice the normals are messed up, so I'm going to recalculate the normals. Recalculate outside, and there it is. I select the entirety of the headlight there. To do a little bit of cleanup, because these seem to be pointing out a little bit too much. I'm going to bring them in. Somebody with more accurate drawings can correct me if I've done the wrong thing here, but I'm pretty sure those are not supposed to protrude beyond the bumpers. Go to the other side. Select the whole assembly there, or the whole light anyway, the bezel itself, and the body will be dragged along accordingly. So, top view again, to line it up right. I line it up at least with the bumper anyway. Then I check the textures. Textures check out. But the edges of those bezels are not actually chromed on the real thing. They're body color. So here I'm going to do a little bit more cleanup. I'm going to unwrap both of those and put them in a body color part of the texture. So this will be a minor change to the UV map. Again, I'm demonstrating that you can unwrap bits and pieces of the UV map if desired. So scale these down. I'm going to put them next to the lights there, because that just makes sense, obviously. First, I'm going to scale them down a little bit more. Here, it's maybe not ideal, so I'm going to scale them down a little bit more. Move them again. Select, and they are now body color. And of course, if I had a red or an orange car, they would change to those colors. So we save, and that's it. Thanks for watching.